In this movie, I want to create 2 additional materials that are going to be very useful to us in developing our game. They're not going to be immediately useful, but even so, I want to create the materials now so they're available to us in the project panel when we need them. So to begin, I'm going to create a new folder material here, a material folder rather, by right-clicking and choosing Create and then choosing Folder. I'm going to name that material like so, and double click on that folder there. Now the 2 additional materials that I want to create, one of them is going to be simply a standard black material. That's going to be very useful in a game that's going to rely on silhouettes as much as our one does, so it means that I can simply drag and drop the black material onto an object and create an immediate silhouette if I need to. It could also be useful, for example, for creating a fade panel in which the screen fades to black. So I'm going to create that dark material now by right-clicking inside the material folder here, choosing Create, and then I'm going to select the option Material from the context menu, and I'll give this the name Matte Dark and press Enter on the keyboard. So I'll select the material here in the project panel, and you can see a preview of the material here in the preview panel here inside the Object Inspector. And the 2 settings that I want to change are the albedo slot and the smoothness setting. So right now, if I crank up the smoothness to maximum, you see we get a kind of marble or glass or shimmery effect. Now, I don't want that at all. I want a completely diffuse material. So I'm going to take the smoothness slider way back down to 0, and you can also type in the number 0 into the field here. And I'm going to move up here to the albedo slot here, and you'll notice that we have a color swatch over here that allows us to define the color that we're going to be using for the material. So I want to create a completely dark or black material, so I'm going to click inside the color swatch, and when I do that, a color picker dialog appears, and I'm just going to click and drag down to the bottom left hand side to select a completely black material, and you can see that here in the preview panel. Make sure, by the way, when you create your material that we are using the standard shader as I am here, and for the rendering mode we can keep that as opaque here. That's absolutely fine, and in doing that we have now created a dark material. Now the next material that I want to create is not a standard material, it is in fact a physics material. Now the physics material is going to be useful to us later when we create the player character, because as the player character runs around, I don't want him affected too much by the forces of friction, because that will slow him down. But on the other hand, I don't want him to be completely frictionless. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a physics material that the character will use. I'm going to right click here inside the material panel and choose Create and then choose Physics Material. So you can see down here we have Physics Material. Now we have the option of Physics Material or Physics Material 2D. And because this is a 2D game, I'm going to select Physics Material 2D. I'm going to select that option here, and I'm just going to name this Low Friction, like so. Actually, I've got to spell that correctly, so I have an L at the front and an N at the end. So we have Low Friction Physics 2D Material. I'm just going to select that material, and for the friction setting, I'm going to change that from 0.4, and I'm going to set it to 0.1 and press Enter on the keyboard to save those settings here. So in this video what we've done is we've created 2 additional materials that are going to be utility materials. They're going to be useful to us in a variety of different circumstances later in this course as we start piecing together the game.